Okay, hold up. You're telling me that Shedeur Sanders, the guy who led the NCAA in completion percentage, had scouts drooling over his arm, field awareness, and composure under pressure, somehow dropped from a top 10 lock to pick 144 in the 5th round? And now, the Sanders family is gearing up to sue the entire NFL for $100 million over alleged collusion and sabotage? This isn't just a sports story. This is a scandal in the making, the kind of behind-the-scenes chaos that could shake the foundations of the league. And if the allegations are even partially true, we're not talking about a draft day slip. We're talking about one of the biggest orchestrated takedowns in NFL draft history.
If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed.
Let's set the stage. Before the 2025 NFL Draft, Shedeur Sanders was a sure thing. He had the numbers. He had the tape. He had the swagger. Analysts had him going as high as 6th overall, maybe even 3rd if a team got aggressive. He wasn't just a quarterback prospect. He was a media-ready franchise changer. And that, apparently, is where the problem started. Because according to growing whispers, and now full-on reports, the NFL didn't like how big Shedeur already was. Not just his talent, but his brand, his image, his interviews, his refusal to shrink himself to fit into the traditional rookie mold. And above all, his last name. Because when your dad is Deion Primetime Sanders, a Hall of Famer, a college coach with viral moments in his sleep, and a man who doesn't bite his tongue for anyone, you don't just come into the league as a player. You come in as a statement. And if the reports are true, NFL owners didn't want that smoke. They didn't want Shedeur bringing cameras into the locker room. They didn't want Deion showing up on the sidelines or tweeting criticisms about conservative offenses. They didn't want a quarterback with his own built-in audience calling the shots. So what did they do? They allegedly tanked his draft stock. According to sources close to the Sanders family, owners and executives coordinated to smear Shedeur behind closed doors. Quiet whispers became loud doubts. Leaked reports started hitting the media. Character concerns. Cocky. Not coachable. Media distraction. None of it reflected his actual record. This is the same quarterback who posted a 74.1% completion rate, tops in the country, who threw for over 4,000 yards with an absurdly low interception count, who made clutch plays under duress with a bad O-line, all while handling the spotlight better than half the NFL's veteran starters. But suddenly, the story shifted. The combine came, and Shedeur, already surrounded by media hysteria, opted out of certain workouts. He focused on interviews and tape review, which, normally, totally fine. Other top QBs have done the same. But Shedeur, he got labeled difficult. He pushed back when asked dumb questions. He didn't smile for cameras he didn't care about. He didn't play the game the way they wanted him to. And just like that, he became a problem. Not because he lacked skill, but because he wouldn't conform. And in a league built on hierarchy and image control, that's dangerous. So on draft night, the cameras rolled. The projections came. And then nothing. Pick after pick. Quarterbacks with less production, weaker tape, and barely their ceilings got the call. Shedeur sat and waited and watched as teams that had praised him privately passed on him publicly. The room got quiet. The cameras stopped flashing. And by the time his name was finally called, in the 5th round by the Cleveland Browns, the damage was done. This wasn't a coincidence. This was a message. At least, that's what the Sanders family believes. And now, they're not staying silent. According to multiple insiders, Deion, Shedeur, and their legal team are preparing a massive lawsuit against the NFL and multiple team owners, alleging collusion, defamation, and intentional financial sabotage. Let's talk numbers. Had Shedeur gone in the top 10, he was projected to sign a rookie deal worth around $35 million over 4 years, fully guaranteed, with bonuses, incentives, and endorsements waiting at the door. Instead, his 5th-round deal is reportedly worth just $4.6 million. That's a $30 million difference before you factor in brand value, future endorsement potential, and the ripple effects of being labeled difficult before ever taking a professional snap. So when the Sanders legal team says they're suing for $100 million in damages, that's not just drama. That's math. And they're not stopping there. Sources say subpoenas could hit media outlets, scouting agencies, and NFL front offices. Everything from combined interviews to draft night text messages could be pulled. Emails, Slacks, phone logs. If someone said something off the record about Shedeur's attitude, they may have to say it again, under oath. This could turn into a full-blown sports legal drama. The kind of scandal that makes owners sweat, agents panic, and PR departments hold emergency meetings. And the NFL? They're on high alert. Because even if they deny the accusations, even if no official collusion is found, the damage to the league's image is already underway. This isn't just a family filing a grievance. This is a family saying, "You tried to bury us. Now we're going to expose you." And let's not forget, Deion Sanders is not the type to play nice. He's been through leagues. He's seen how the machine works. And if there's anyone who knows how to rally public support, turn a scandal into a movement, and keep receipts, it's Coach Prime. This case won't just play out in court. It'll play out on every sports show, every tweet, every podcast. Because it touches something bigger than football. It touches culture, identity, control. The NFL's image of itself versus the voices trying to change it. And Shedeur? He's not sitting this one out. He's playing lights out in Cleveland, proving every week that he was a top 10 talent, leading huddles, making throws, winning games, and doing it all while the world watches the league that overlooked him try to explain itself. So what happens next? Discovery, depositions, headlines, probably a few panic phone calls between billionaires. Because no matter how this case ends, one thing's already clear. They underestimated the Sanders family. And now, they're about to learn exactly what that costs. All right, so let's sit with this for a second. We're not just talking about a lawsuit. We're not just talking about bruised egos, bad press, or a rookie QB looking to clap back. We're talking about the Sanders family taking on the National Football League. Let that sink in. Because this isn't just about lost money or reputation. It's about something way bigger, way louder, and way more personal. This is a family, a legacy, stepping up to call out what they believe is one of the most coordinated, behind-the-scenes takedowns in NFL draft history. And they're not coming quietly. Because this isn't just Shedeur's fight. It's Deion's too. And if you think Deion Sanders, a.k.a. Coach Prime, a.k.a. the man who's turned cameras, confidence, and conviction into a second career, is going to let this slide, you must not know Deion. The league should have seen this coming. You don't try to ghost the Sanders family and expect them to play nice. You don't whisper behind closed doors, manipulate narratives, throw shade through anonymous sources, and then expect your name to stay out of the press. You don't try to sabotage someone's entire career trajectory and then be surprised when they say, "Cool. See you in court." Let's be clear. The moment Shedeur Sanders' name fell into the 5th round, the whisper started. Something didn't smell right. Everyone, from analysts to fans to veteran players, couldn't believe it. Not with the numbers he put up. Not with the presence he carried. Not with the hype machine already behind him. So how did it happen? Well, according to the Sanders family's legal team, and let's be honest, they probably have the most elite lawyers you've never heard of. This wasn't a coincidence. It was a concerted effort. A back-channel smear campaign. A quiet alignment between owners who were worried not about talent, but about control. Because what Shedeur represented wasn't just skill. He represented independence. And that's threatening. You think certain NFL front offices didn't look at Shedeur and see a player who wasn't going to shut up and dribble? A quarterback who didn't need the league to build a platform. Because he already had one? This is a guy who rolled into the combine with millions of followers, a media-savvy brand, custom chains, a viral college coach for a dad, and the audacity to speak his mind without corporate filters. They didn't see a player. They saw a threat to their structure. And the NFL, love it or hate it, is still an old-school institution. It's billionaires and blazers. It's protect the shield. It's a well-oiled machine that doesn't always take kindly to disruption, especially when that disruption comes packaged in confidence and charisma they can't contain. So instead of embracing Shedeur, the narrative shifted. Quietly, strategically, uncoachable, attitude issues. More concerned with brand than ball. It didn't come from one place. That's the sinister part. It came from everywhere. Leaked scout notes, negative media spin, radio silence from GMs who once had Shedeur locked in their mock drafts. A subtle, targeted campaign designed to chip away at his draft value one whisper at a time. And now, it's all coming back. Because if the Sanders legal team gets what they're after, emails, texts, internal memos, this thing could blow wide open. Think about what happens if even one leaked message confirms what we all suspect, that teams intentionally tank Shedeur's stock for reasons unrelated to his performance. That's not just shady, that's collusion. And if the lawsuit proves it, the implications are massive. The NFL would be forced to answer questions it's dodged for decades. About fairness, about bias, about who gets to control the narratives, and who gets punished when they challenge them. And let's not pretend this is just about Shedeur anymore, because this lawsuit could set a precedent that changes the draft process forever. No more anonymous leaks tanking players' reputations. No more quiet punishments for outspoken athletes. No more weaponizing character critiques to keep people in line. This is about forcing the league to look itself in the mirror and answer for the systems it uses to protect itself, and who gets hurt in the process. And while all this simmers, let's not forget, Shedeur Sanders is already proving them wrong. While the NFL scrambles to prepare for discovery requests and media fallout, Shedeur is out there winning games. He's commanding huddles, throwing lasers, scrambling when needed, standing tall when it matters. Every Sunday, he's delivering highlight reels that scream, "You should have believed." The Browns, of all teams, are suddenly in playoff conversations. Not because they overpaid for another veteran, but because they leaned into the fire. Because they said, "Screw the noise. This kid's legit." And now, every GM who passed on him is sweating. Imagine being the team that chose a backup tight end over Shedeur Sanders, and now watching him rack up 300-plus yard games on national television while your offense can't score 17 points. That's not just egg on your face. It's a pie to the head every week. And guess what? The Sanders family isn't interested in let's move on. They're coming for accountability. And $100 million is just the starting price. Because this isn't about one rookie deal. It's about a reputation that was intentionally dragged through the mud. It's about brand value, endorsement deals that ghosted after the fifth-round fall. It's about the future earnings that were destroyed when teams conspired to label Shedeur as too much. But more than anything, it's about principle. This family didn't come from silence. They came from strength, from confidence, from generational greatness. And when that greatness is targeted, smeared, and undervalued on purpose, they don't whimper. They fight. So what happens next? We're heading into a legal war that could expose some of the NFL's ugliest secrets. A war that may force teams to explain not just why they passed on Shedeur, but how they talked about him when no one was listening. A war that might finally shine light on the shadowy politics of the draft process. And if the Sanders family gets their way, this won't just be about justice for one quarterback. It'll be about reshaping how this league treats anyone brave enough to challenge the system. So buckle up, because this isn't just a lawsuit. It's a revolution. And the league is officially on notice. Let's not mince words here. This is uncharted territory. We've seen lawsuits in the NFL before. Labor disputes, CBA battles, retired players suing over concussions. But never has there been a case quite like this. A player, fresh into the league, still taping up his cleats, already dragging the entire NFL into court with receipts, recordings, and reportedly a digital paper trail of exactly how the league tried to mute his future before it even started. We're not just watching a legal process. We're watching a live confrontation between one of the most powerful sports organizations on the planet and a family that has never been afraid of the lights, the cameras, or the smoke. Let's talk about what's at stake. Because this isn't just about the $100 million in damages that the Sanders family is reportedly seeking. Though yes, that's an astronomical figure. It's about something much, much more dangerous to the NFL than money. It's about exposure. The NFL thrives on tight control of stories, of images, of messaging. It's why head coaches repeat the same scripted postgame lines. It's why players get fined for speaking out of turn. It's why everything, from a pre-game locker room speech to a last-second touchdown celebration, goes through a lens. And here comes Shedeur Sanders, a rookie quarterback who won't smile on cue, who won't soften his opinions to make middle-aged executives comfortable, and who just might have the legal firepower to rip that lens wide open. Because if this lawsuit goes to discovery, if emails, Slack messages, private group chats between GMs and owners are subpoenaed, that's where the game changes. That's when the curtain gets pulled back. Imagine a leak showing two owners texting about avoiding the Deion circus. Imagine a team exec calling Shedeur a PR liability because of his dad. Imagine someone in a draft room saying outright, "We can't have a quarterback with more followers than the team account." That's what the Sanders legal team is betting on. That buried inside the polite HR statements and the overly rehearsed podium answers are the real conversations. The ones that expose the culture of quiet punishment, of back-channel whispers, of subtle, calculated control. And suddenly, it's not just about Shedeur anymore. It's about every prospect who's ever been labeled a distraction for being too confident, too media savvy, too me first. Every player whose draft stock mysteriously plummeted the moment they became too loud, too self-assured, too unwilling to conform. The Sanders lawsuit could be the key that opens the vault. And if it does, the league's going to have a problem. A huge one. Because the public? They're already listening. This story isn't just trending, it's resonating. Players, both current and former, are starting to speak up. Not just in support of Shedeur, but in shared frustration about the system they were told never to question. Fans are rallying, not just because they believe Shedeur was wronged, but because they see themselves in the fight. This is about power dynamics, about gatekeeping, about who gets to rise, and who gets put back in their place. And the NFL? They're not built to lose these battles. They settle. They silence. They spin. But now, they're facing down a family that's made it crystal clear. This isn't about hush money or walking away quietly. This is about accountability. And if there's one thing the Sanders family knows how to do, it's perform under pressure. Deion's not new to this. He's seen locker rooms and boardrooms. He's played for, coached with, and talked back to some of the most powerful men in football. And Shedeur? He's been trained in that arena his entire life. So the NFL can't rely on intimidation. Not with these two. They can't play it down. They can't outmaneuver them in the press. If anything, they're already losing the PR war. And meanwhile on the field, Shedeur is thriving. This is the part that makes the league's alleged actions look even worse. Because while the legal team builds its case, while owners sweat behind tinted office windows, Shedeur is out there bawling. Composed, dangerous, winning. Each touchdown he throws makes the conspiracy theory look a little more like conspiracy fact. How do you explain a guy who slipped to the 5th round now torching defenses every Sunday? How do you spin that into a "we didn't think he fit our scheme" excuse when he's already out playing half the guys drafted before him? You can't. All you can do is brace for impact. And what about Cleveland? Well, they're sitting pretty right now. The only team that said screw the noise and bet on the guy everyone else wouldn't touch. Whether it was luck, guts, or desperation, they made the call. And now, they've got a franchise quarterback and the backing of an entire generation of fans who feel like they're watching something bigger than football. But even Cleveland can't escape the gravity of this lawsuit. Because now, they're at the epicenter of a league-wide reckoning. Their quarterback is suing the league. Their team is climbing the standings. And their fan base is rallying like they've just been handed a revolution in pads. This story's not going away. If anything, it's about to explode. Because when the Sanders family goes to war, they go with everything. Passion, proof, purpose. This is about setting a precedent. This is about sending a message to the league, to the fans, to the players who are watching every move. We saw what you did. We heard what you said. Now we're going to show the world. And if the NFL thinks they can just brush this under the turf and carry on with business as usual, they're not paying attention. Because this isn't business as usual anymore. This is personal. This is public. This is powerful. This is prime time versus the machine. And this time, the cameras are already rolling. All right, so let's zoom out and just take stock of what's happening here. Because if you're watching all of this unfold and still thinking, it's just draft drama, you're not seeing the full picture. This is not just a lawsuit. This is not some bitter family airing grievances because things didn't go their way. This is a full-scale reckoning aimed directly at the core of how the NFL operates when it thinks no one is watching. And this time, everyone's watching. Let's be honest. Shedeur Sanders was never going to be a quiet rookie. That was never in the cards. He didn't enter the NFL through the back door, humble and unseen. He came in with flash followers, a Hall of Fame last name, and the kind of confidence that makes traditionalists flinch. And the league hated that. Not because he couldn't play, his talent was undeniable, but because he refused to shrink to fit the mold. They wanted him to tone it down, play nice, be grateful. But Shedeur, he didn't apologize for being great. He didn't kiss rings. He didn't beg for approval from a system he already knew was flawed. And for that, he got punished. Now, whether the league wants to admit it or not, this lawsuit is peeling back layers they've worked decades to keep sealed. Layers about who really gets to succeed, about how narratives are shaped, about how powerful men, behind closed doors, can torpedo a career with a whisper and expect no one to ever ask why. But now, there's someone asking why. Someone with a camera, a mic, a case file, and a last name that commands attention. The Sanders family isn't just bringing this lawsuit to court. They're bringing it to the court of public opinion. And guess what? The court of public opinion is leaning heavily in their favor. Because people are tired. Tired of seeing outspoken athletes labeled divas. Tired of hearing that a player with personality is not a team guy. Tired of the same gatekeepers trying to box in anyone who dares to be bigger than their position. Shedeur's rise isn't just a football story anymore. It's a movement, and the league knows it. That's why they're panicking. That's why they're scrambling behind the scenes, trying to get ahead of a narrative that's already sprinting past them. Because if even a fraction of the evidence in this lawsuit sees daylight, it won't just embarrass a few teams. It'll expose a culture. And when that culture crumbles, the league will have no one to blame but itself. So buckle up. Because this isn't ending in a settlement and a press release. This is going all the way. And in the end, win or lose in court, the Sanders family already changed the game.